How's it going, Saran guys and Segway guys? So, the purpose of today's video is mainly to let people know that the black RST Killahs are identical to the white ones that were on the previous Saran models. So there's been some information on the internet saying that a 21-inch wheel will clear the black fork and not the white fork. But I mean, the fact of the matter is they are literally the same. So I did take off the fork lowers and then compared them. I'll throw some pictures in this video if I can figure out how. If not, I'll just put links to the photos from my my Google account. But yeah, they are identical, and in the process of comparing the fork lowers, I just swapped them out. So that's why the stanchions on this one is now black, and then mine's still gold. It was going to be easier than swapping out the entire fork altogether. And I figured, why do that if the forks are identical? So I went ahead and I moved over the RockShox Domain extra firm dual crown spring from the white fork over to this. Well, it actually didn't go anywhere because it's in the same stanchion. But in order to take off the fork lowers, there are two 5mm bolts on the left side, one on the bottom, and then one inside this fork leg that you need to go in with. I use like 2 extensions, and then I basically compress the fork up and then use zip ties to hold it in place. Of course, the spring is out at that point, so there's not a whole lot of pressure pushing down except for the damper on the right leg. So yeah, the forks are identical. This is a 70 by 100 stock size, and it barely has any clearance, and the clearance is so minimal that I can't even run my Flexi Mucky Nuts fender. So this fender I took off, if you guys watch any of the previous videos, because it was just getting major rub. Now this wheel that I have on right here is actually a 26-inch wheel that I got on eBay. It was like $191. It's the DMR Pro 26-inch with the 20mm through axle boost spacing, so it's going to be the same as what both of the fork options for the Saran and Segway offer. With the Segway, it doesn't really matter if you go with the 21, because the D&M forks do have the clearance. You're not going to have to worry about this getting in the way and just not having a lot of clearance. So the tire that I'm using on this 26-inch wheel is a Maxxis. It's like 26 by 2.8. So I know it's upside down. And it's a really skinny rim. Like comparing it to my WTB I-23s on my Bronson, which are, they're skinny as well, but yeah, this is a pretty skinny wheel, and it was so skinny I couldn't even use the old valve stem to do a tubeless setup on it. I couldn't get a good seal, so I'm gonna try. Right now it just has a regular 26er tube, but I do have new valve stems, so I can try to convert it to tubeless, which I prefer to do. So yeah, mainly with the RST forks, whether it's black or white, if you do want to run a bigger diameter wheel, this is probably going to be the most affordable option, because a 21-inch wheel is just not going to fit with the tire sizing. I know they have like the I think they do have a 70 by 100 21 tire, and there's literally only one available, and then there's a handful of dual sport 2.75 by 21 tires as well, but I really don't think they're gonna clear just the top portion of the fork, because it gets more narrow. So, I mean, this is a 70 by 100, and if I raised it up, I'm pretty sure it's going to be touching this section of there. And then the only option would be to trim the knobs down on the edge, but it's probably not a good idea. So a 26-inch wheel is probably the best option. And there are some floating around there. I saw one on one of the Facebook groups being sold, plug and play with rotor, with the exact same tire, a much nicer wheel actually. And I wish I'd just waited. If I literally waited a few days, I would have picked up that wheel. I think the guy was selling it for like $250 without shipping, and I would have saved a lot of money. So this wheel by itself was like $191 plus tax. Shipping was free, and then the tire was like $80. And this is like really the only tire I would go with for a 26-inch wheel. There is a much cheaper tire. The Mongoose makes a 26 by 2.8, and then there's also the Duro Razorback 26 by 3.0, which is also clear. But I mean, I just like Maxxis tires. They roll really well. They hook up really well. They're good for pretty much everything. As you can see, I'm running them on my Bronson as well. And the 70 by 100s are also Maxxis tires. So I don't like to compromise on tires just because of cost. You could probably go with a 2.5 and maybe save like $20, but might as well just get the 2.8 instead of you know, just trying to save money for that smaller tire. I mean, there's plenty of clearance with the 2.8 width on this rim, so there's like a lot of space on both sides. So with this rim, I wouldn't recommend going any wider, because if you're running it on low PSI, you might get snake bit, or you might tear the sidewall if you get a rim strike. So that's the downfall of this wheel. But I have seen people selling other 26-inch wheels with the boost through axle, for decent prices. Only issue is like availability these days is a bit harder because of just the wheel standard changes. So, I mean, if this was like 2013, I would be able to find a wheel for like $100 on Craigslist, no problem. But since you know, around that time, that's when 27.5, like my Bronson, just really started taking off. And the downhill, World Cup downhill started using 27.5, and then now, you know, just a couple of years ago, they switched over to 29. So, I mean, if this was like 2010-ish, it'd be really easy to find a wheel that would work. I don't know about the boost spacing, but I do understand that they do have little shims that you can do to move the rotor over to fit or to line up with the caliper. So I mean, spokes wise, it doesn't look all that great. The eBay ad says for downhill and free ride, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would really trust it that much, but we'll see. I haven't ridden on it yet. As you can see, it's all nice and clean. So I'll probably get on a ride later today just to see how it goes. And then yeah, just you know, hypothetical pros and cons with this setup. Let's start with the pros. I mean, having a bigger wheel up front is going to help with descents. It's going to help, you know, rolling over objects a little bit easier. I don't know if it's a pro or con, but it'll make the bike slack out a little more, or the rake, as the dirt bike guys like to refer to it. But yeah, the bike will be a little bit more slack, so for descents, it's gonna be a bit better. And it's lighter. That's great. The hub doesn't have like the little caps. These are the boost hub actually is already just fixed like that, so I don't have to worry about the little end caps falling off every time I want to take off the wheel. Weight wise, it is a lot lighter than the 19 with the dirt bike 4-ply tire, so that's also going to be really good in terms of just how the front end feels. So I'm looking forward to that. With this dirt tire up front, I had less issues with the washing out as I did with those trials tires over there. But I don't know, we'll see. Like when it comes to actually riding it, it might not be that great. But from what I understand, there's a lot of other people who've done the 26-inch front wheel, and it worked out pretty well for them. I wouldn't do it in the rear. When I did have a Stealth Bomber type clone, it was like a Ryzen. I don't remember the model, but it was a clone of the Coolbix 76. And I would get pinch flats like left and right on the rear wheel, and that was so annoying to change out because of the rear hub motor. It was, I wasn't happy having mountain bike wheels on the rear, but I never had issues with the front. So hopefully I don't have any issues with this bike running this 26-inch wheel up front. And other people that have ran it are doing pretty good with it in terms of longevity and life. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just do some comparisons. This is a V-Rubber 2.5 by 19. So even the 2.5 by 19 seems like it is about the same width as this 2.8 mountain bike tire. Again, that's a lot of that has to do with the actual rim width. And then this is a 2.75, which is a lot closer to the 70 by 100. And then this is the 70 by 100 Max's Max Cross tire. So I know it's touching already, but hey, you know what? This looks good. I like having the black lower with the gold stanchions and the white lowers on the black stanchions. Kind of reminds me of my old Marzocchi forks that I've had, the Marzocchi 66s. And this is actually a through axles from there that doesn't go all the way in, but just using it to hold the wheel in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap this tire over to the Sur-Ron. Cons, again, let's just jump into the cons real quick. It's not gonna be as heavy duty, obviously. It's gonna be more easy to puncture. So if you're riding in areas that have like a lot of sharp objects like goat head, weeds, those are gonna stick in. And if you're not running tubeless, it's just gonna be a headache because you're gonna have little holes everywhere. It's probably not going to be good for commuting and riding high speed on the road. You'll probably run through this tire really fast, and I don't even know if the hub can handle that type of abuse, because the bearings seem pretty big on the stock Sur-Ron hub, and I'm assuming the seal bearing is similar, but it's that hub doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence. So if you get a better 26-inch wheel with a nice hub, I'm sure it can do great. But again, we run into the issue about tire longevity on the street. So Motoped guys have had an issue with it for a very long time, because those bikes came with 26 in the front and 24 in the rear, and they're either running like the Duro Razorbacks or those thick bricks. I forget what the company is, but they just don't last on the street. So 26-inch front wheel, it's a great addition to have if you're gonna hop on the trail. Really easy to swap out, probably easier than swapping out tires whenever you need to do it. So I think this is actually a really good buy for someone that has a Sur-Ron. And just in general, even if you do have a D&M fork or any other type of fork, it might work well too. Going with the 21-inch wheel, it's probably better. I mean, it might feel better weight-wise if it's too light up front. But we'll see how it goes. Like other people have been pretty happy with the setup that when I've been doing my research. So I'm assuming I'm not gonna have any issues with it as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on and see what it looks like. So this is what the bike looks like now. I already got the stand set up. And then let me go ahead and throw that on there. Gonna have to adjust the brake. Let's see how it goes. I can't wait to get my fender back on there. It sucks eating dirt while you're riding. All right, guys, so I thought I'd take a little break here while I was taking off the other wheel and just do a little size comparison. So on the right, obviously, is the 19-inch wheel with the 70 by 100 Max Cross tires. And then we got the 26-inch Also Maxxis tires, but I forget what they're called. The Minion DHR2s. I don't even know if those are the same tires I have on this bike. It's so dirty and so old. Yeah, these are also the Minion DHR2s. Man, I love these tires. They roll so fast. And the control is great. So, yeah, this thing wants to roll backwards. Definitely want to go with the tubeless setup on that. So glad I don't have to deal with these end caps anymore. I do take this, take the front wheel off quite a bit, and you see that broken O-ring. I try to get it back on there. This one's just gone, and yeah, I'm gonna be really happy not to have to worry about those end caps. So I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie them on there just so I don't lose them. All right, let me get this wheel on. Well, the bike looks pretty awesome with this front wheel. Plenty of clearance to get that Mucky Nuts fender back on. Love it. I mean, I don't really like this fender that much, but as you can tell by the bend here, it works well in the cab of my truck because when I shut the door, it just flops down. So that's one of the benefits. Even at pretty high PSI, there is quite a bit of sidewall flex, so I'm hoping it's not a big issue. It would really suck if I get some pinch flats, but we'll see. I mean, even if you go tubeless, you'd still run the risk of the bead tearing if you have a bad rim strike. So with this really narrow rim, I wouldn't well, first of all, I wouldn't recommend getting this particular wheel for this bike. There are going to be better ones out there. Unfortunately, because of availability, like I was talking about earlier, this isn't 2010, and you're not going to be able to find, you know, 26-inch through axle wheels all over Craigslist or eBay as you would back then. So you may end up spending as much as you would building a 21-inch wheel if you do build a 26-inch wheel with a decent rim, spokes, and a hub. So, but it will clear this fork, and again, you know, this is not the best fork in the world. It's actually bottom of the barrel, but it is spring sprung in this leg, and I like that. So I don't know how much it would cost to get a new damper, the damper side from RST. Maybe the one from RockShox might work, but I doubt it, even though it's supposedly a clone. But I do like having a spring rather than an air spring, because, you know, even if you blow the damper side, you're still going to be able to ride home. You're not going to just be fully compressed or, you know, have any issues with that. So yeah, I'm going to try to probably do a short ride today just to get a feel for it. I don't want to really hit up the trails today. It is the weekend and it's usually super busy, so we'll see how that goes.